So hi, today we're going to discuss on why your construction projects are going over budget and what you can do in order to prevent this from over budgeting. So hi, my name is Francis and today I'm going to share to you my insights based on research on the reasons on why your projects are going over on the budget, and I will give you some solutions that I think that can help you to resolve these problems. So let's start. So the reasons according to the statistical data recorded, before, I'm going to share you the link to this one. They created an article, they did their own research, and they list down a very extensive list of reasons on why construction projects are going over their budget. After this, they shortlisted these reasons that they think greatly impacts or the main reason on why these budgets are going overboard. So these reasons are estimating errors, delay in permitting, incomplete design leading to the changes, unforeseen conditions, owner's interference and lack of interference, delay in the payment, and the weather. Let's go through each item one by one and let's understand why are these causing the budget problems, and I will share you some solutions that I think you can use in order to resolve these problems or at least to avoid these problems. So first, estimating error. So as you know, estimators, they have a very challenging job. Usually when a project is over budget, the first team that they usually blame or go through is the tendering or the finance team. We should understand that the tendering team or the costing team, they have a very short timeline for preparation and the submission for the bids. So usually they get information very short and incomplete, and it causes a lot of the errors. The estimating process becomes prone to errors. What are the types of errors that usually cause when you don't have enough information or you don't have enough time to complete your proper costing for a project? So for example, just missing 1 0 in your pricing will be a very big issue for your project. It's a very big problem. The second would be forgetting a scope of work. So sometimes when they receive the tender documents or the design or the drawings, usually it's incomplete. And because it is incomplete, the tenderers or the estimator, they try to project or estimate by themselves. This causing like putting wrong information or wrong pricing, or worse, if there's no information, they don't put any costing on the tender submission. So what are the solutions that I can recommend for you? So one of the advices that I can give to you is all the estimator or the tender team, you should take your time to estimate or request for an extension. Don't rush your estimation. Go through it one by one, line by line. And then if the time is really not enough, don't hesitate to ask for an extension of time for the submission. It wouldn't hurt to extend a few days if you're going to give the right pricing or the most complete tender pricing submission. It will save time actually for both parties during the review and the Q&A part of the tendering. Try to use your subcontractors, subtrades, and suppliers to give you the pricing, update pricing. Don't just put your price according to what you know. Try to get as much information from your subcontractor. Usually, all these subcontractor, subtrades, they have the updated costing for each item in your tender. And finally, once you have compiled all your costing, make sure that you create a separate team that will review your cost. It would be very important to have your estimate to be looked by other team, by other person, other experienced person, and they can give advice or maybe something you miss or something that is wrong in your tender estimate. So the next reason would be permitting delays in the construction. So as we all know, permits are the most common delays in a project job site. Have you heard that some of the companies, they will put in their construction schedule, they would put a very small time, for acquiring the construction permit. They would put 3 months, but in reality, it will be 6 months. Usually, the owners are responsible. However, if you're the main contractor, you have to keep the relationship, the support to the owner. At the end of the day, our job as a contractor is to serve the owner. So even they're the responsible, we should properly give them the advice, okay, the correct advice, and what we assume the correct schedule to start on the project or to acquire this permit in order to start the project. So the next is, I think what you have to do is you have to understand what are these permits, and you have to know what applies to you and what applies to the owner. So give yourself some time for these permits. As I mentioned, usually for projects it would take 6 months, but for more complex projects, usually it will take more than this one. So what are the kinds of permits? So you have building permit, road occupation permit, sidewalk occupation permit, electrical permits, your HVAC permit, and your underground plumbing permits. So, okay, so the next one would be, another reason would be incomplete design. This is every contractor's dream, or maybe not. Uh, so incomplete design usually leads to costly change orders. So if your design is not complete, usually the contractors, they don't put the price upfront, and then once you issue under your engineer's instruction for a variation, then the subcontractors will give you a separate price for that, separate overhead and profit price for that, which resulting into increasing the budget of your project. The design is complete. What does it leads to? So if the design is complete, you will have faster tender period due to the lesser questions during the Q&A, right? You can finalize many things upfront. Contractors can be more concise on their number. So meaning they can give you the most realistic number on their costing. So contractors can carry less money for contingency due to the less risk in design documents. So contractors, they can allow a little percentage for the contingency if they think that they have all the information, all the design, that they can work properly on whatever document that they have. And then more contractors will be interested due to less of complication. If you have complete documents to give to your subcon for pricing or to your contractors for pricing, I think many contractors would be very happy to work with you. How to improve the quality of the design to avoid getting over budget. So first is, I think you hire quality consultants. We all know that different people, they have different expertise, but it doesn't hurt, and it will benefit you if you will get professional advice. So when you select the consultants, you hire based on their experience and capabilities. For example, you will hire, if you have a industrial project, you would hire an industrial designer, architect, rather than the architectural for the residential project experience, right? So make sure you understand what you need and what you're expecting them to deliver to you. So next, plan for the design. So make sure you have proper planning for the design, and don't make artificial deadlines. Don't pick up the dates just from the air or what you think. Make sure that you seek these advices from consultant or experienced contractors to give you the realistic schedules and deadlines for your project. Because giving the wrong schedule will cost you also more finances for redo works or miss works. Again, as I stated, you must also have a separate peer review, or what we call the third-party review, to review all the designs. Even though you have a consultant that will design for you, it must go through a third-party design certifier to ensure that whatever the designer has designed has been looked again by another professional, in order to filter out and make sure to lessen all the issues within the design. Right, so having contractors to help seek mistakes in the design. So the next would be change orders. Change orders are by nature a very inefficient part of the construction project. Where if there's too many change orders, sure you redo work, you will have a lot of additional costs, additional time claims, so it will just balloon the project cost very fast. So change orders are a profit center for the contractors. Maybe contractors love the change orders, they would want more work, but it is a case-to-case basis. If they think they have enough time or they can compensate with the time to accept the change order, then it can be a profit source for the contractors. Once you have a lot of change order or suddenly you change the design, so you lost the competitive tendering environment. So it means that whatever your original budget, once you change, they have to resubmit a new costing. And maybe the costing will be more higher because, for example, they submitted a cost for you for the original contract 2 years ago. Then you change the design 1 year later. So the cost, there will be inflation, so it will have a serious effect on the project budget and finance. So as I said, contractors will mark up quotation with overhead and profits. So to protect yourself from bad pricing, this is my suggestion. Have consultant to review the pricing to confirm that it's fair. So whatever the contractor submitted to you for pricing, make sure that you have some qualified person to review each quotations. It wouldn't hurt also to request a more detailed breakdown of the costing of all the works. So you can have your consultant to review it more thoroughly. And during the tendering, out the overhead and the profit amounts contractors are allowed to charge. So during the tendering, I think you must have an agreement already on how much percentage that you would only allow for the contractors to put for the overhead and profit margin for whatever costs that they will submit for you. Okay, so over budget due to existing conditions. In any project, I think if you're a long-time contractor or doing project, whether it's a new project or a renovation works, there's always an items to deal with existing conditions. So they are typically a risk that someone that has not yet accounted for. So even with the good pricing, not every risk will be accounted for. So even they give you the best price, it will always have something that they will miss. People don't see it coming, and then as a result, to tend to be more expensive in both cost and time. So this is unforeseen items, unforeseen conditions in the site. So it will need more contingency budget for these kinds of items. You have to allow this kinds of budget in order to compensate for the things that you don't see or you don't see. So examples are, so unknown ground condition. So if you're tendering for a project that you haven't checked the site or something like that, for sure, when you start take over the project, you will be surprised of the other things that you have to, additional works that you have to do that will be from your pocket. So mechanical or electrical services that are missing. So sometimes they will put on the plans that they have the DB here, they have the electrical panel in here. These are the air conditioning is already here, but when you check on site, it's either not functioning or it's not existent anymore on the site. So at the end of the day, you may require, let's say, for power. If they will say the power for your construction, you need this amount, and you verified, okay, this is the power is enough for the site, I can use this. But when you check the site for the actual power, it's lesser than what you're getting. So at the end of the day, you have to pay and apply for more power, for more electric capacity from the government. And who will pay for that? So the budget, the construction price will go up and go up, go up, up. Structure that doesn't match the drawing. This is a common. Usually there will be a lot of renovation, especially when you're taking over existing project or existing structures that has been done for a long time, and they have did a lot of renovation within inside. Usually the as-built drawings are already different from the actual conditions of the site. So building structure is weaker than expected. So this will be bigger problem. Usually this happens like a foundation have an issue, cracks that you don't that you cannot see. You don't have time to review for all the cracks, to do a survey, to put up to put a pricing for that. So once you get into the job site and you see all these missing structures, damaged structures, then it will become an additional cost. Contractors will submit to you an additional work cost for that one. At the end, it will become an over budget. Underground concealed items. So this may be there are some concealed items underground that you cannot see, or they're really missing. So this is also part of the works that I think will cost additional costing or pricing budgeting for the project. If basically when you see the land, you just see from the land ground up, so you don't see anything from below the ground unless you start the excavation. That's when you will know there's a lot of water there, a lot of pipes there's some pipe there, drainage pipe that you will damage. So once you damage those water pipes, then you have to repair them, especially if this government property. So how to mitigate the risk with these existing conditions? So I have a few key strategies to share to you. First, investigate. Spend time to do a site visit before you cost anything. Go to the site, do a site visit, then at least you can see and lessen some of the risks that you may, unforeseen items that you will add on the works later on. Contingency. So I think if you can get some historical projects around that one and identify the issues of what happened around that vicinity or around the project site or within the project site, then if you have records of this, you can allot some budget in case there will be a recurring issue of this incident. And I think you must, when you're dealing with existing structures, it would be advisable if you would do a more simplified design. So you should avoid complex design around existing conditions, because rectification works may not be possible or may be costly in order just to compensate or to do whatever design that you want to do. So make your designs more simpler, especially when you're around existing conditions. Okay, so the next reason is owner's interference or lack of interference. This comes on both inexperienced and experienced owners can cause this issue, right? So sometimes owners may feel that they know better than the contractors and the consultants that they hire. So owners interfere can cause projects to over budget by additional changes to the design as a result of the decision or indecision. So there will be a change design, they suddenly change their mind, then with the change design, contractors have to submit a new cost, and maybe the cost of the new design will be higher or lower. It depends. But at the end of the time, the works on the job site will have to stop before further confirmation of the new design cost. The job site may stop the work temporarily due to the waiting for the confirmation of the change order. Mistakes or errors being made in the construction due to the owners making incorrect decision. So this is may result if sometimes the owner don't engage in consultants for advices. It's very rare that it happens. Usually they say the owners is always right, but with every error or every change that the owner does on the design, it will incur a cost and time for the project. That is guaranteed. So owners interference and lack of interest. So what can we do with the owner like this? So how will you position yourself? First, respect the people's expertise. So again, come back. Make sure that you use professional consultants and respect whatever they advise for you. Yeah, it's not also a negative way to challenge the consultant's decision, but at least listen and absorb the information before making a proper conclusion. So project team should rely on experts to make recommendation. Make decisions when they needed and empower them to make decisions. So don't micromanage. Just let your consultants run the show. If they will need your input, they will ask. So, people generally want to feel, recognized for doing the job. Uh, don't micromanage. So I just meant don't micromanage. So you as the client, you have a whole organization of team of people under you that will manage to deliver the project for you as per your vision, and you don't need to as the owner, you don't need to know every detail of every step that they have to do. Okay, so the next would be delay in the payment. So one of the main reasons for the negative stigma surrounding is because of payment, right? So it's a very sensitive issue. So when you, to avoid argument, make sure when you pay a contractor or supplier, should never include the word emotion, or don't put your emotion on this one. Payment should be reviewed as per the terms of the contract. Done. Okay? Your contract is your Bible, right? Every payment, every work, every certification, every compliance should comply to the conditions of the contract to avoid conflict. So because if there will be a conflict, we discussing with the costing, the pricing like this, hey, you're my friend, why you give me so high price, why like this? No, everything should be properly, professionally discussed, agreed, and signed up before any works has to commence on site. So late payment can cause over budget. So what happened? If there will be an argument with the unit cost and payments and all like this, usually contractors will stop work on site, right? What is the result? So you will have loss of time, and time is money. So the next, you're putting on others on risk. So if you don't pay the main con, the supplier, they cannot pay, the subcon, they cannot pay, the workers, they cannot pay. So everyone is affected, and it will cause a big issue in your job site. So delay in payment. So what key things that you should address during the agreement, right? So you should agree on first the process of the payment, the timelines of the payment, the disputes, or in case there will be a dispute, how you will agree on the dispute, payment in the event of the disputes, holdback requirements, right? So the next one is whether delays causing the budget issue. I think this one is weather is an inevitable factor in the construction. So weather is unpredictable. I don't say it's unpredictable, but the weather is there. So how you will work on with the weather in order for you to to avoid over budgeting or over costing or causing delay to your job site. So weather can cause a construction project to over budget by delay in construction. So depend on your contract setup. In the contract they will have the clause that the main contractor fully understand, where is he building the site conditions before he take over, and he understand all these unforeseen coming events that he already put contingency costing for these unforeseen events that will happen. So damaged material. So when there's a weather problem, strong rain, typhoon, winter, earthquake, so of course there will be damage of material, and when there's damage of material, you have to buy again the materials. So rain, wind, and major weather events can damage unfinished buildings. Morale. Okay. So how does weather affect morale? So usually if you're in the tropical countries where we have the strong rains, monsoon, there will be multiple days, sometimes months of rain. And if you're trying to catch up or maintain a proper schedule on the job site and it's always raining, it causes a bad mental effect, morale on the morale of the engineers or the project team, and it will affect on the productivity of of all of them in the job site. So productivity, as I mentioned, Some activities are better performed in the good weather. So you must understand what activities, when you make a schedule, you should understand what activities you should be doing with matching with the whole season of your project timeline. So weather delays causing budget issues. What can you do? So eliminate the weather. So it means like prepare a good planning of temporary facilities, right? So make sure you have proper drainage system to avoid flooding. You have roofs. You do your planning. If you need to rush on the roof first, in order to have the works below the roof to be continuous, you can plan it like that. So good planning for temporary works is very important. You must have proper tents for your workers if you will have some fabrication works off-site, meaning near the site but off-site. Make sure your workers are all in a proper working condition, working environment. So plan for the weather. So make sure that when you create your schedule, right, you should understand what is the weather changes during a whole year on what country or what location are you doing your project. So make sure that all your concrete work should be done within the summer and finish the roof until you can close the whole building before the rainy season. So even it's rainy season, you don't have outside work, you can do internal works during the rainy season. And make allowances for the weather. So this will be undergo, you put some extra contingencies for works needed to proceed for unwanted weather conditions, right? Make sure you don't forget to put that. Also, it would help also to apply insurances for this one. So usually insurances you can protect. It will protect yourself, especially, if in your job site you have material will be damaged, you have people, you have finances, circulating finances within the schedule of your project. So if anything has been damaged, it will affect the whole works on the job site. So that's it. Thank you very much for bearing with me for this long presentation, and I hope you pick up something. And these are the key reasons that I think with this information you can avoid to have an over budget on your projects. So thank you very much, and if you like what you have what I have presented to you, please don't forget to support me in this channel. Please hit the subscribe and the like button, and I will make sure that I will give you more information that I can share within my knowledge in the construction industry. I'll see you and have a nice day.